So if I were to directly quote Jack Reacher himself, my favourite would be hit them fast, hit them hard, and hit them a lot. I kind of find that hard to argue with. What's up guys, welcome back to Unlimited Reads. My name is Chris and today I'll be telling you why you should read the Jack Reacher books by Mr. Lee Child, and you'll need to stick around right until the very end of this video because I'm excited to announce that I will be doing my very first ever giveaway prize on the channel. So there's a little competition I'm going to be running. There are conditions attached, so you need to stick around, but rest assured the prize is going to be a nice one, and very happy to be doing that for the first time. The competition winner, whoever that may be, will receive the prize, and I will post it to anywhere on the planet so that anyone is eligible for the prize. So stick around, won't you? Alright, now I felt the need to do this video because way back in March I did a promo video on the new Jack Reacher book that just got released in October called No Plan B. Now this is the most successful video I've had on the channel in terms of views, even with the shitty thumbnail that I made before. I taught myself how to use Canva properly, the most awesome desktop publishing program I have ever used. Now it just indicated to me that people are wanting to watch more Jack Reacher content. It's been made plainly obvious to me. Even since March, I'm still getting comments on that particular video. And I also did another similar Why You Should Read Jack Ryan by Tom Clancy on the channel as well, and that's received some really good reviews as well. So it just goes to show that Why You Should Read segment has the tendency to be very popular. And I thought, look, it indicated to me that there are no YouTubers, if any, talking about the Lee Child books. And if the viewers want it, if Jack Reacher fans want it, I'm here to deliver it. So that is the result of me making this video today, so that I can go through why I like the series and why I recommend it to you. And if I get enough feedback, it might just start a new segment on the channel. I plan on doing possibly a Jack Reacher reading project. What I mean by that is I'll either review every book in order. I'm not sure of the frequency yet, but it depends on how frequent the viewers want it. I might even nominate 3 or 4 months throughout the year as a Jack Reacher month, where for any nominated month I just read the Reacher books and review them all on the channel. So if there's a demand for it, I'm certainly up for delivering it. And look, I'm really wanting to read all the backlist of Reacher books. I would love to do a project like that if I've got the support of my viewership and subscribers. I'm all for it. So yeah, would really look forward to doing something like that on the channel. So before I get into it, I'm not sure if I've shown my whole Jack Reacher collection up close on the channel, so I thought I'll do a bit of show and tell and show you my collection up close and show you the beautiful UK cover art that we have access to here in Australia. Now my collection isn't complete. I think I'm missing about 4 or 5 physical titles, which eventually I will buy to make my Reacher collection complete. So let's start with what I have here. So the first book, of course, is Killing Floor, which season 1 of Jack Reacher on Amazon Prime. This is the book it's based upon. Fantastic introduction to the character. This is where it all started, and the rest, as they say, is history. Fantastic book. We have Die Trying. We have The Visitor. Without Fail. Persuader. Now you can see a common theme with the cover art with these ones. It's very, very consistent, and the cover art's very, very tasteful. And we have Echo Burning, which is one of my favorite books, and I did review this earlier on the channel a couple of months back. That was the second time I read it. It is one of my favorites in the Jack Reacher series. And we have The Hard Way. And you can see here the cover art here is what I based the thumbnail on, which ended up turning out pretty good. And I've got 61 Hours, Nothing to Lose. How good's this cover art? Gone Tomorrow. This is a really good one where Reacher gets involved in a subway bombing attempt. Fantastic book, that one. And we have A Wanted Man. This one, now Jack Reacher, he isn't invincible. He's formidable in a fight, but I think in this one, I think this is the one where he gets his nose broken good and proper, which is very, very rare. So it's a good one. We've got Never Go Back. This one you'll recognise. It's the movie is based upon this book with Tom Cruise. It's where there's a hidden clause in his contract that, or his paperwork that he signed upon his discharge from the army, where there was a little clause in there that if a certain event happens, he can be recalled back to active duty. So that's a really good book. And we have Make Me, which is another one of my favourites. I think I've read that twice. And we've got Persuader. I think this is the one where Personal, sorry. I think this is the one where he goes to Paris, so he leaves the United States for this one. And we've got Night School. This is a prequel novel of when Jack Reacher was still in the MPs. And then we start to get into the later books here. We've got The Midnight Line. This is a good one involving drugs, which it's one of the best novels in the series as well. And we have Past Tense, where he goes and investigates something to do with his father, which was a great book. And we have Blue Moon. And getting to the end now. So we have I've got the bind-up book of short stories as well, which is this should be in any Reacher fan's collection. And the 3 collaborations that Lee Child has done with his brother Andrew. We have Better Off Dead, The Sentinel, which is the first one that comes before Better Off Dead, and of course we have the final book that got released in October, which is No Plan B, which I did review on the channel. If you haven't caught that video, check it out, and I go into a fair bit of detail on the book. But I'll be talking a little bit more about the 3 collaboration books here very, very shortly. But that is my collection, and I'm very, very proud of it. So look, I've been a fan since about 2010, around the time that Worth Dying For came out, which was book 14 in the series. And at the time, I was working in a bookstore, so that's how I became aware of the series for the first time. And I remember on my brand new e-reader at the time, when e-readers were released around then, that I smashed through Killing Floor and just got addicted straight away. And I can remember on digital reading all the books right up until Worth Dying For, and since then every year I've religiously bought every Jack Reacher book upon release day. It was just a fantastic time in my life where I found a series that I'd latched onto and couldn't get enough of it, and I still can't get enough of it today. So let's talk a little bit about Lee Child's background. So he had a pretty eventful childhood. He was the second of 4 sons, growing up in the working class city of Birmingham, and he originally studied law, but on student days he would work in a local theatre, and he ended up moving eventually into commercial TV and eventually signing on with British broadcaster Granada TV. Unfortunately, he was retrenched in 1995, and he decided, what's he going to do now? And he decided to try his hand at writing novels. So Jack Reacher was born, that drifting ex-military badass who moves from place to place and dishes out his own brand of justice. And he's in frequently dangerous situations, and in the process he solves mysteries as well, because not only is he a beast, but he's has a very, very keen intellect when it comes to solving crimes. So yeah, the rest, as they say, is history. What I like most about Lee Child as he approaches retirement from writing Reacher is that every single year since Killing Floor, every October he has delivered a book without fail. And for his legions of fans, including me, it always gives me something to look forward to, and it gets to a point where, well, it got to a point where every time a book came out, you don't even need to read the cover blurb on what it's about. It was enough that it was just a Reacher book coming out and you snatched it without even looking at the cover copy. And I think that's one of the best compliments I can give an author, where you develop that trust that each book in the series is going to be great. Okay, so let's talk about the man himself, Jack Reacher. So he's 6'5", he's 250 pounds of pure muscle. He makes an imposing figure. He spent 13 years in the military police after graduating from West Point, and he became a major, but then he was busted down to captain. But that said, he does have quite a few citations. He has 2 Silver Stars, the Defence Superior Service Medal, he has 2 Legions of Merit, Soldier's Medal, Bronze Star, and a Purple Heart, and he also has a distinguishing scar on his torso. I believe it's in his midsection to his left, and it takes the form of a shrapnel wound from a jawbone that hit him in the midsection and created that curved scar that is described in the book. So in a nutshell, he roams from place to place. He carries nothing but a passport and a folding toothbrush. He draws a pension check every month. He has no need for any material possessions or a home or a car or a dog or a family. He claims that it's in his genetics that he is destined to wander, and it gives him some freedom. He goes from place to place. He's got no particular place to go. Sometimes he's attracted by jazz music, or in the most recent book he's attracted by a military museum in Colorado, and he just goes with the flow, and he doesn't care where he winds up. At the end of every book, he will just jump on a greyhound and off he goes into the distance, and by the time you finish a book, you can't wait to find out where he ends up next. And unfortunately, wherever he goes, trouble seems to be attracted to him, and we find him in all sorts of situations where people make the very bad mistake of challenging him into combat, and when that happens, the macho opponents that try and size themselves up against Reacher learn very quickly that they should have stayed home or ran away. So on the surface, Reacher looks like he might be a mindless thug, but one of his best attributes to me, besides his physical prowess, is his intellect. And in many of the books, there are situations where there is a very, very deep mystery with, you know, a lot of clues that need to be followed and evidence that needs to be looked at, and the crimes ultimately to be solved. And it's very, very impressive that in addition to his physical presence, he can think. He can really flesh things out and think through things logically and deduce things that ultimately solve the mysteries in the books. And I think that's one of the best attributes of Jack Reacher as a character. And I also like that he has a very rare softer side. He does have romantic or semi-romantic flings with women throughout the series, but I also really enjoy reading how he interacts with children. One example where at the end of Echo Burning, in fact, he has a really touching exchange with a young girl at the end, and it's nice to see those layers peeled back, because he can nearly kill someone, but he has a sort of tenderness when it comes to kids, and that's just a nice side to Reacher, other than how he kicks ass. Okay, so with Reacher's love interests throughout the series, there are a few women he has flings with, but one of the most frustrating things for me, me being a hopeless romantic, in the earlier books, Reacher has a romantic involvement with Jody Garber, who is the daughter of his ex-CO, Leon Garber, and I would have liked to have seen where that went. Obviously, Reacher just roams, and he doesn't really have meaningful relationships that go on and on, but there are a couple of books where they were romantically involved, and they went their separate ways, but I'm really disappointed that throughout the whole series they haven't been reunited once. I believe there was a very, very brief mention of Jody Garber being overseas when Reacher was speaking to someone, but other than that, you know, I would have liked to have seen them reunited. It would have been really good, but maybe if they did reunite, maybe Jody would have tamed Reacher. I don't know how that would have went, but Reacher will never ever settle down. It's in his genetics to keep wandering, and it probably never would have worked out, but I would have liked to have seen them reunited at some point in the series, and it's highly unlikely. I'm not sure if Andrew Child will continue when he continues with the series, whether he will have them reunited. That remains to be seen, but I'll keep my fingers crossed, so hopefully it might happen, but it's something I would have liked to have seen in the series. Now, I will add that when you start reading the books, you can read them in any order you like. For me, I prefer publication order because I've been a fan for a little while, but you can start anywhere you like. The minor exception I'd make is there's a story arc throughout 3 books, which is with 61 Hours, Worth Dying For, and Never Go Back, where there's a loose plot thread where throughout those 3 books, don't quote me on this, but Reacher is sort of infatuated with a major who is a current MP, commander at the 110th MP, which was Reacher's old post. And Reacher sounds interested in her. He's heard her voice a couple of times on the phone, and he feels he would like to meet her. And eventually, by the time we get to Never Go Back, I believe they do meet up. And you know what happens in the movie as well. And I especially like that when they meet, Reacher's old desk has a head-sized dent in it, and it's one of those legends where Reacher smacks someone's head into his desk. And in the movie, Reacher says it's not one of his finest hours, but yeah, just a little bit of a legend of Reacher's presence at the 110th MPs. Now, I won't go into every book in detail, but I will highlight some key moments or quotes which I think are some of Reacher's best and why you should read the series. So this quote is from 61 Hours, and he says, "I'm not afraid of death, death's afraid of me." This one is from Nothing to Lose. "I have to warn you, I promised my mother a long time ago. She said I had to give folks a chance to walk away." And this one is from Die Trying. "I had a teacher once, grade school somewhere, the Philippines, because she always wore a big white hat, so it was somewhere hot. I was always twice the size of the other kids, and she used to say to me, 'Count to 10 before you get mad, Reacher.' And I've counted way past 10 on this one, way past." And here's another one from Worth Dying For. "So here's the thing, Brett, either you take your hand off my chest or I'll take it off your wrist." So hard to argue with that one. Okay, now the fight sequences. Now, more often than not, out of all the fights Reacher gets into, the other guys come out worse for wear on the other side. They make the mistake of thinking that they could kick Reacher's ass, but they're sorely mistaken, and quite often it leads to a trip to the hospital. Now, I like how Lee Child describes Reacher's fights. What happens is, in Reacher's mind, in a fraction of a second, if he's got 4 guys advancing on him to look at kicking his ass, which is a big mistake on their part, he will go through methodically on what he needs to do, and he will map out the fight on how he thinks it will go in his head, and he eventually just kicks everyone's ass. He has a philosophy: get your retaliation in first, so don't wait for it, just go for it. And more often than not, he delivers a killer headbutt or just goes for it, and before these poor saps know it, they're on the ground and off to the hospital. So best to avoid engaging Reacher in combat, I think. And in Blue Moon, he decks a group of bikers at the front of a pub or a bar, which is a pretty good fight to read. In Echo Burning, he bashes someone with a pool cue and just kicks a lot of ass. But even though he's outnumbered, sometimes he will cop a lick or two, and that's a very good way for Lee Child to do the fight scenes, because you can't have Reacher just being invulnerable all the time. He has to take a lick or two. And as I said, in A Wanted Man, he does have his nose broken. I believe it might be in Make Me, I think he gets a baseball bat to the head as well, which carries on into the next book, because that was a hell of a hit. And any normal man would have their head caved in and be in a coma or in a vegetative state, but Reacher slowly comes back from that. So when I read that scene, I thought that was pretty brutal. So even though Reacher is all muscle and is formidable in a fight, he can still get given a lick or two, but ultimately he does come out on top. So Reacher has several mottos as well, one of them being, when in doubt, drink coffee. He believes you need to sleep when you can, so that you can prepare for those times where you can't. He has a clock in his head that is never wrong, and he can set an alarm in his head and he'll always wake up at that time. He can just access the time in his head and he is spot on all the time. That's one of his gifts. He's just a good guy, and he believes in doing the right thing, even though he sometimes breaks laws to do it. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was Lee Child's impending retirement from writing Jack Reacher. And I remember when Lee Child and Andrew Child first collaborated on the first book called The Sentinel, there was a lot of disruption and negativity amongst the fans, and look, quite rightly so, because everyone was so used to Lee Child writing Reacher that if someone new were to write the character, then it wouldn't be as good. And look, looking at Facebook recently, especially with the latest book, it's copped a fair bit of flack amongst the fans with all three collaborations really. And look, I was in that camp where when I read Sentinel, which was the first collaboration, I thought, oh no, this isn't good at all. And Better Off Dead, the second collaboration that came out, was a little bit better, and with me, No Plan B was the best of the three. And I'm a little bit different to most of the fans who don't like the three collaborations. Yes, the Sentinel and Better Off Dead were pretty ordinary, and I'm going to be completely honest, and that is my view, but No Plan B was a vast improvement. And I think what the fans need to realise is that Lee Child wrote Jack Reacher in his own style. You can have the best writer on the planet come in and take over from Lee Child and write the Jack Reacher series, and it still will not be the same. A writer's voice is as unique as a fingerprint, and I think as fans we have to realise that Reacher will never be the same again. However, I think Andrew Child, so that's Lee's brother, I think he's getting better, and I have a fair bit of faith in Andrew Child to keep going with the series and keep getting better and better at writing Reacher. He is getting better. A lot of people didn't like No Plan B because the attention was taken away from Reacher because of the subplotting in the book. Reacher didn't get as much page time as he normally does, and I think that's what put fans off with the last book. But it's all about, with the collaborations between Lee and Andrew, it's about trying new things and testing new formulas to see what works. So I think as a fan, I have to realise myself that it is a transition period. There are going to be hiccups. Nothing's going to be perfect. But I think in the future, let's say if Andrew Child writes another, by the time he writes another 6 books in the Reacher series, I think as fans we're going to be pretty happy because he's getting better and better, in my opinion. And I think we just have to have a little bit of faith in Andrew to do it. And I don't think he's been given the benefit of the doubt. Now, I was a negative Nancy as well when the Sentinel was released. It just wasn't good, and that's completely honest. But I can see it improving, and I am predicting by 3 more books, I think Andrew Child will have it down pat. No one can, he will never be able to emulate Lee Child exactly. But I think he'll stand up on his own 2 feet once Lee Child retires, after the last book that is due this year, next year in October, called The Secret, and it's the final collaboration before Andrew goes it alone. And look, I can't blame Lee Child for retiring. He's tired. He's done so much for Jack Reacher's character over the course of the 24 books that he wrote, and he's had really good input on the collaborations. But don't blame the guy. He's tired. He's not getting any younger, and I believe he can comfortably retire because I think Jack Reacher has been very good to him on the financial front. But I just wanted to reiterate that as fans, I think we just need to be patient and just let Andrew do his thing, have a bit of faith, accept the books for what they are, the 3 collaborations, and it can only get better from here. So if you love reading about violent, righteous justice and about solving crimes where Reacher uses his intellect as well as his brawn, you just can't go wrong. And I'd love to compare it with another series that's similar, but I just can't. It stands alone. You can't really compare it to any other series. Nothing comes to mind, and I can't compare it with anything. So I do hope that you decide to read these books. And now for the competition. So thank you for those that waited until the very end, and I'm excited to announce that I will be giving one lucky winner a copy of No Plan B by Lee and Andrew Child. This is an advanced reading copy, not so much advanced now because it got released in October, but I'd like to thank the good people at Penguin Random House for sending this to me to review on the channel. Since I already bought the book, this one is just sitting around my house doing nothing, and I thought, well, let's put it to good use and give it away on the channel as part of a competition. Now, the competition is very, very simple. All you have to do is like and subscribe to my channel and share. Now, for the sake of fairness, I'm going to leave the competition open for a week On the 11th of December, I'm going to announce the winner. It just gives people a chance to see the video. For those that see it straight away and subscribe and whatnot, that's all fine, but I just wanted to give people a chance who may not see the video straight away to be in the running, and that's all you have to do. As I said, I'll announce the winner on the 11th of December in a special video on the channel. I don't know if I'll do it live or not yet, but either way, on the 11th of December the winner will be announced. And what you need to do when you do subscribe is make sure that your name or channel name is visible, so that I can message you and notify you that you are the winner, and you've got a pretty good chance of winning this book. And as I said, I'll post it anywhere, and we'll just see who wins. So all the best of luck to all the people who enter by subscribing, liking and sharing. So I'd like to thank you for watching. Get subscribing, and don't forget to give some feedback in the comments below. Let me know if you're a Jack Reacher fan. If you are a diehard Jack Reacher fan, let me know what your favorite is. Let's compare notes. What I would really like to ask all the viewers who watch this video is to express your interest if you want me to review all the books on the channel. I'm certainly open to that. I might even do it regardless, because I'm really looking forward to rereading the books again, because it has been quite a number of years since I've actually read them all, and I wouldn't mind doing a Jack Reacher reading project on the channel. So there you go, guys. Thank you very much for watching. All the best of luck, and until next time, I'll see you later.